You're masculine. That's what somebody said to me today. So this particular gentleman had posted this statement. 99% of females want the authority of a man, the responsibility of a child, and the perks of being a woman. And I said, that sounds more like men than women. And his response was, look at your masculine self, don't want to take responsibility just like a female. And I laughed and I said, you should make up your mind, because I can't be both masculine and just like a female from one comment. And I think that that is the problem with some of these knee-jerk reactions that some people have. Because a lot of these knee-jerk reactions are pretty contradictory. They literally accuse you of being two different things, two opposite things often, at the very same time. Now, I only said one statement, and he categorized it as masculine and feminine at the same time. So, of course, I found this hilarious. And I went on to elaborate on why I said it sounded more like men, because I've long posted that the stats on men being prepared for adulthood are not great at the moment and haven't been great since the 80s. There's been much more occurrence of men wanting to be grown children and wanting their women or girlfriends, wives, whatever, the partner in their life, to act in the role of a mother. And that some men are very resentful of any push by society, by women, by anybody for them to grow up, take accountability, be responsible, and so on and so forth. So the statement he made is much more reminiscent of men and even of the way that patriarchy has been designed to give men things that they didn't earn and to cater to them in some ways like spoiled children. So, I elaborated on that a little bit. And then I went on to say that basically there's no equivalent to boys will be boys that I know of for women. So when you're talking about, quote, women acting like children, but wanting the authority of men, boys will be boys is literally saying men are acting like children, but they need to be allowed to do this and women need to excuse it. But they still are allowed to expect to be treated like leaders and submitted to. So again, really, really strange. And, I went on to say that when you think about the past, when we did have an egalitarian society for hundreds of thousands of years, you didn't hear men talking about women being masculine. Even when I was growing up, you didn't hear men talking about women being masculine. It wasn't even something that was said, because men were not insecure about their manhood. So they weren't on this very easily triggered, defensive mode of thinking that women were masculine, So it's very interesting to me where we are right now, and I just went on to say that why would you call me that? Or why would you expect me to respond to being called that when I know who I am? I don't need a man to verify my femininity. Don't need that. And let's just pretend, just for the fun of it, let's pretend that I believe in these categories that were designed by patriarchal culture that define masculinity as strength, leadership, self-sufficiency, courage, success, and power. These were masculine traits. Things like assertiveness. And if you take the opposite of that, if femininity is the opposite of that, then it would be weakness, being a follower, being dependent, being cowardly, being a failure, and being powerless. Why would I, as an adult, woman or not, want to be categorized by those traits? What benefit would it be to me to be categorized by those traits? There is nothing that I would gain from that. I would have everything to lose. So the only way that I would agree to those characterizations and those definitions and those qualities is if I literally had no choice and I needed to be those things or pretend to be those things to survive. And at one point, women did have to do that. They had to pretend to be damsels in distress. They had to pretend to be weak and dependent and followers and all of those things that I just mentioned, afraid, helpless, because they could not do everything they needed to do for themselves because men had shut them out of politics, economics, social justice, and many other things. But we don't live in that world anymore. So I don't have to say or believe that everything good, everything powerful, everything worthwhile, intelligence, logic, leadership, success, assertiveness, and so on and so forth is masculine. And if I want those things or if I show those things, I'm being masculine. No, I'm being human. I have those abilities and choices just like anybody else. Me being a woman doesn't take them away. And so that's the world that we live in, or the world that we should live in. And the people who want to take us back to the past, they need to grow up.